It's dangerous to go alone. Take this.
And welcome to the realm of geekdom. This is Nerd Breaking News. We already got confirmation of some of the castings. Some are confirmed, but it looks like we already know who are the Dents. But before we jump into that, make sure you like, subscribe, and hit that bell so you don't miss any of our episodes. So, Kid, let's go ahead and jump right into you. You are a resident DC guy. Tell us a little bit of who's playing who.
All right, so it was confirmed recently that Scarlett Johansson is playing Gilda Dent, the wife of Harvey Dent, which is played by Sebastian Stan, who recently said in an interview that this is going to be one of the most physical roles he's ever portrayed. Take that what you will, right, when it pertains to physical. Like, is he going to be Harvey Dent in this? I don't know. That's what he said. And obviously, the patriarch of the Lannisters is Christopher Dent. Christopher Dent is a obscure comic book character who debuted in the 90s, who essentially his role in different mediums of the Dent legacy is that he is the abusive father of Harvey Dent. And Harvey gets his coin obsession of whether he does it or not from his father, because his father in the comic books used to flip the coin of whether he beats him up using the coin. So he gets that from his father. So again, where is Matt Reeves going with this? Obviously, the psychology of Harvey Dent. We're going to see a very abusive Christopher Dent. We're going to see how it affects his wife. This is great casting. First, before story-wise, we'll get to it later. But casting-wise, this film is just hitting home runs. And what makes it even more interesting is that we still don't know who the main antagonist is. We knew in the first one that it was going to be the Riddler. We knew the Penguin was going to be like a side guy, which he was. And then we also knew that the main guy, right, Falcone. Here, Falcone's dead. Penguin is doing what he did as it pertains to after this TV show. He's going to be in this film as well. So we got Penguin, Harvey Dent, the Dents. Catwoman's not in this film. Matt Reeves said that the villain is going to be somebody who's never been seen ever in cinema history. So what are the choices here? We have to think about it, right? Hush is one of the options. Hush is somebody who grew up with Bruce, who knows Bruce's identity. They went to school together and all that stuff. They grew up together. You know, the rich guy. So it's a psychological villain if you go with Hush. 2, it could be Hugo Strange. Hugo Strange is the mad scientist guy in Arkham, who also knows Bruce's identity. So you gotta be careful there. And then now that Scarlett Johansson is not playing the Phantasm, you have to go with probably the most popular one on social media, which is the Court of Owls. And this actually falls into the Court of Owls if you think about it. What if the Dents are, again, Matt Reeves
entrenched in it, basically.
Matt Reeves could write it however way he wants it. But what if the Dents and Hush's family and the Waynes are all part of the Court of Owls, but their kids, Harvey and Bruce, don't know about it? I don't know, right? We're speculating. We have no idea. But those, remember, it's a villain we haven't seen before. So we had to take out a lot of people, right? We got to take out Scarecrow. We got to take out the Joker's also going to be in this film as well. This is very packed. It's a lot. So we don't know where it's going to go, but we have trust in Matt Reeves and unlike James Gunn. And what makes it unique is filming starts in I'm assuming 30 to 45 days. There's no pictures yet. There's no set. We'll get that in the next couple months. But I think they're going to announce the casting pretty soon of who the villain is. And I think once we get the villain, then we can go on and be like, okay, what's the next step?
Figure out what's the storyline from there. Yeah, and it seems very interesting. Now that that we know that she's going to be playing Gilda, so I definitely want to see how that all ties in, since I don't really know so much about the DC Comics or her character that much. So it's gonna be interesting to see this new character kind of on screen. And then Christopher Dent, you told me there was only two comic books with him, right?
No, that's Gilda. So Gilda, which is Scarlett Johansson's character, she's
Mhm.
only like an man. She's another person that if the casual person doesn't know who Gilda is, then you're gonna be shocked to what she does if they're going through with the storyline and what she does. Essentially, she's one of the holiday killers in the Long Halloween. She takes over once Harvey becomes Two Face at the end of the book as one of the holiday killers to kind of help
Mm,
what's going on with because in the Long Halloween, the mafia starts. There's like several holiday killers throughout the year. It starts off with like the criminals, the Falcone family. Harvey Dent takes over, and then at the end, Gilda takes over. The problem with Matt Reeves is Matt Reeves knows that he's a comic book nerd. So if you're a comic book nerd and you know that Gilda eventually becomes one of the holiday killers or the murderers, how's that going to play? And again, you get a big actress like Scarlett Johansson. She's not going to sit around and do anything. She's going to be an integral part of the story. So
Professor, what's your take on this?
One thing I appreciate about Matt Reeves is he's a comic book nerd that I feel like doesn't make comic book movies, and I think it's good. And it seems to me like what he's kind of done is he's taken the gist of these characters, right? And then he's really been focused on building a setting for them to play in Gotham City. So his Batman series feels like the very first one where the main character kind of is Gotham, right? And I think that what he does really well is that he kind of has gotten away from the idea that the rogues gallery is important. And instead, he's kind of leaning onto the idea of these are all people who are trying to get by or get ahead within this corrupt city. And this is what they would do. And I think ultimately that just makes for more interesting movies. And I think something that only he could really accomplish is making Gilda Dent into a character that folks would think is more interesting than Harvey Dent, which is an incredible idea. But I think it's one that he'll pull off. Ultimately, when you're looking at honestly whatever vision he has for this movie, I have complete faith in it, and I think that ultimately he'll give folks something that will be exciting, interesting, and new. So I'm optimistic.
Ego, what about you?
Very excited, to be honest, after the success of part one of the Batman. Um, I think that, I mean, so far with the information that we know, I would like to think that they're keeping the same concept of the Batman who's more um, like a detective, right, type of thing. That is not necessarily going to be the the fantasy that we usually see in other superhero movies. That is going to keep the same concept, which I love. In terms of, this new casting announced, although not necessarily confirmed fully, but if this came out, there's, if there's smoke, got to be some type of truth here. I love the casting. I think that ex Tywin Lannister now coming, that guy's gonna put some touches to that movie. That's gonna be amazing. The White Wolf, making the transition like many others in the past from Marvel to DC. So is Scarlett
Mhm.
Johansson, which is a great actress. So I love it. She's done so many roles that um I love her casting. I think it's great. Don't like the fact that Zoe Kravitz is not coming back, but who am I to judge when part one was so good? And Matt Reeves is still writing and directing the movie, so I'm not gonna
Mhm.
complain on that. Early on, still a lot of information missing. Like the kid was saying, we don't know who the evil guy is in this movie. Don't care so far. It looks like it's gonna be amazing. I did read that the Joker is gonna be back as well, right?
yeah, Joker and
So
Penguin,
Mhm.
they're there, but it's
they're
confirmed Eagle that they're minor characters again.
Mm-hmm.
okay.
So one of the criticisms that people are saying, which is a very small group of people, is that
Mhm.
is this movie kind of going the same route as the Dark Knight, right? Because the Dark Knight had Harvey Dent, it had the Joker, it had the Mafia. But you can kind of see, when you watch the Batman and then even Batman Begins, it's like Nolan and Reeves. They're grounded, quote unquote. But you could tell the difference when you watch both films. I think there's a clear difference.
I wouldn't worry too much because from exactly what you're saying, you can tell that Gotham is not a one evil guy city. There is plenty of stuff wrong with Gotham. It's they just Gotham is the city you don't want to be in. Yeah, Gotham is corruption is everywhere. So
the professor said it perfectly. Like Gotham is so Nolan filmed the first two films, Batman Begins, The Dark Knight, in Chicago. He filmed the third one in Pittsburgh because he needed the bridges when Bane breaks the bridges. So, the version of No Man's Land, the comic book. Here, it's London, right, for the most part in terms of like the outskirts of it. But when you watch Gotham in the first 10 minutes of the Batman, right, it looks like Times Square and all that stuff, gothic, rainy, it's Halloween. It felt like they were their own character. And then when you watch the Penguin, which was genius, Eagle, you saw a different side, the broke side of Gotham, right? Where the Penguin was doing his underground crab. And he was
after the flood,
every week he was getting by the grace of God. All that stuff was going on. And then the Mafia and all this stuff. And then you saw the rich, right? Because Sophia killed her whole family. So you were able to see the rich and the poor. And Victor's storyline as well, which is like the middle class going through hell with the flood and all.
Middle class, no, the poor guy got thrown into the.
But what did you hear every episode, right, of the promo of the Penguin, if you recall? I want to be the kingpin of Gotham, right? It's always the idea of taking over the city when the city's so inhabited by all these characters, and so you guys said it perfectly. Another difference between him and Nolan, I feel like Nolan had his villain of the week, right? This movie is Ra's al Ghul. And this movie's the Joker. And then now it's Bane. Nolan is telling you, Reeves is telling you, yo, there's like 4 or 5 dudes out here. I don't know who the hell, I don't know what random Tuesday Batman is doing something, but there's like 4 or 5 dudes out here. And your backup and your 4th string villain is the Penguin.
Yep.
So let me know. Let me know what you got. Because if the Joker is out there, Penguin's out there, theoretically, Riddler, by the way, there's a rumor that he's back too, but you're going to see him in Arkham. Which makes sense. And you have the Court of Owls running it with Talon while those dudes are in Arkham?
It only adds to the story. I'm telling you, this is good news.
Yes, it really does. So, what we see is they're taking their time with the story. They're going into filming and, a year ahead, getting everything set up. You got to trust what he's doing and just look at the casting right now. This is definitely going to be pretty amazing when it comes out. And more importantly, hopefully we can figure out who's the villain so we can have a better understanding where this goes.
Yeah, we all like the White Wolf. We all like Bucky, right? We all think he's cool. He's and stuff. Remember the relationship that Bruce had with Gordon in the first one? You imagine the chemistry and the dialogue when you ask Sebastian Stan to that trio of that, that's just beautiful chemistry. That's just amazing actors working together. I forgot Gordon's name. Damn it. He's such a good actor. Jeffrey Wright.
Yeah.
Jeffrey Wright, Robert Pattinson, Sebastian Stan in the rooftop of Gotham.
That's some serious acting.
Yeah.
It's dangerous to go alone.
All right. Well, let us know what you guys think about the new casting that we just heard about. Maybe you have your own personal ideas of who you think the villain could be. And if it's something we haven't covered, we would love to hear from you. So definitely leave it down in the comments below. Well, until next time, fellow nerds, this is Nerd